Connor Norby and Kyle Stowers to the Marlins, and a little bit of a shock in terms of the package that the Orioles gave up. But Trevor Rogers coming to Baltimore. I know we did our initial reaction, Zach, and the package did seem like an overpay. But in this market, with team control again being a big thing, and the pitching market just being out of control in general in terms of value, you had to give up something. And look, for the Orioles, they feel like they're getting a guy that they can get back to being uber consistent. He's been good over his last, 13, 11 starts or whatever that number is. But how do you feel now that the dust has settled on that, and we're about 7 hours out of that? How do you feel about that move?
I'm still not happy about it, but it happened.
Yeah.
It improved the Orioles rotation. It improved their rotation for the next few years. Just it improved next year, puts them in a better position next year. I hate giving up Norby and Stowers for what I feel like we could have gotten more, because I feel like Eflin's the better pitcher, and we got him for much, much less. And that's why I want people to understand, if the Orioles didn't acquire Zach Eflin, if Zach Eflin was traded at like $550 today, he would have probably gotten Norby Stowers plus. Like he would. Did he just infield hit? Infield hit is Bryce Harper up. Yes, Bryce Harper up.
Oh my God.
Yo, did you see that one guy comment today in the stream where he's like, Ryan, you always do such a great job with commentary. And then he's like, I feel for Kevin having to. He was like, I hate how Kevin has to put up with Zach on the post-game show.
What?
Oh
my God.
You too, man.
Jeez.
He was like, Ryan, you always hit things on the head and give great analysis, but I absolutely hate how Kevin has to put up with Zach on
the with number one fake reporter, Zach.
Number one fake reporter. Don't you?
Oh yeah,
it, baby.
But
yeah, let's talk about with Rogers. They need a left-handed pitcher. I think they like his ground ball rate. They actually, funny enough, so I want to give a shout out to Pigtown Sports.
Did he put out a tweet about numbers?
Put out a tweet about numbers. So let me get this, because this makes it very interesting, Kevin. So Trevor Rogers, since June 1st, righties are batting a 234. He's got a 3.83 ERA versus righties, but they have a 44% pull rate and a 47% fly ball rate.
Interesting.
That plays into the wall. And then against lefties, they're batting 269, so a little bit higher up average, but it's a 225 ERA plus 43% pull rate, but they have a 57% ground ball rate on that. So he's getting more ground balls against lefties where you would go short porch to right, and where he's giving up fly balls, they are not leaving the yard at Camden Yards. So it's growing on me. I'm going to give him a chance. Like, that's the one thing. Like, maybe I hate that. My reaction about this is not about extra innings. It has nothing to do with Rogers. It has everything to do with I hate giving up Norby and Stowers in the same deal and not getting it.
Yeah.
So I hope Rogers comes in and just absolutely dominates, shuts everyone up. But we'll see.
Yeah, and I think, again, when people saw that it was Norby and someone else, I think the reaction was, okay, is this going to be like a Jed Fabian or like Dylan Beavers or like some other mid to low level guy? But to have it be Stowers as well, I think in hindsight now, looking back on it, Zach, and seeing what some of these other pitchers went for, like, again, we talked about this a little earlier too. Tanner Scott going for what he went for is a rental option. And again, relief pitcher, guy who has crazy stuff, and obviously has been dominant this season for the Marlins. That was what? Their 2-3-5 for San Diego? Their 2-3-5 prospect plus somebody else? I mean, that's the same as the Orioles giving up, like, Basayo, Mayo, Norby, and another guy for Tanner Scott. And the fan base would have been in shambles if that was the package for a guy who only has half the year left on his deal. So, look, I still think it is a somewhat overpay just based off of the players they gave up. But in order to go for it, you do have to give up guys. You do have to overpay a little bit sometimes. And while I think Norby and Stowers are going to do well in Miami, I do think it's going to be something where it's not a Crochet, it's not a Skubal, it's not one of those top guys. But as we kind of learned as the deadline went on today, those guys were never going to get moved. Like Flaherty was the big name that got moved, and Tanner Scott in the bullpen, and that was it. So these mid-tier or like high-ish to mid-tier starters were going for a lot more because the top guys weren't getting traded. So all those other deals all of a sudden got a bump in value, and this was a premier sellers market. This was one of the best sellers markets we have seen in the last 10 years in baseball.
Yeah, and you know it's kind of crazy? I saw a tweet today. It was such a seller's market, and you know how I know we didn't have any massive trades and none of the big names went off the board? I believe it was Fangraphs. Not a single top 100 prospect on Fangraphs was dealt today.
Wow.
Of the updated, so Fangraphs is the most recent. I think it came out, I believe, less than a week ago.
Yeah.
A single player. Now, we talked about some guys in the top 100 on Pipeline, but then they were not doing as well, so they fell off in Fangraphs. But it is like there just weren't guys out there worth that big of a haul.
Yeah. And I know everybody was talking about, are they going to trade off or move off of Basayo? Are they going to give up Mayo for a guy? But there just wasn't a guy worth giving up that haul for. And so I think a lot of people maybe assumed, and we were talking about this on the way out of the studio, actually, Zach, Brad, Ryan, and I, but like, if it was just Stowers and someone else for Rogers, I don't think anybody would have batted an eye. But I think it was the fact that Norby and Stowers were in the same package for someone that was not named Crochet or was not named Skubal or any of those top guys. That's what got people up in arms for a guy that, again, he was an all-star his rookie season. He was great 2021. He hasn't been that guy over these past couple of years, though. Obviously dealt with an injury. I believe it was last year, right? His injury. He only pitched in single-digit innings, I think, or something like that.